Hello everyone, I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and I just dropped my updated top 30 rankings for the Yankees farm system, and in today's video we're going to be looking at 5 of the biggest risers from the preseason list to this updated post-draft, post-deadline list. This will not include players who were just drafted, such as Dax Kilby or Caden Kent or Pico Cone, who go from unranked to being inside the top 20. Obviously that's a massive leap, but they were not considered for ranking beforehand because they weren't in Pro Bowl, so it'll exclude them. We're only going to be looking at guys who are inside the organization for that preseason ranking and who, of course, are still with the organization. So someone like Griffin Herring, who likely would have qualified for this list, but was then traded, is not going to be on this list. Same with someone like maybe a Rafael Flores or other names like that. So with that being said, let's get right into today's video and roll that intro clip. So the first prospect we're going to talk about was an unranked prospect going into the 2025 season. That's outfielder Dylan Lewis, who has been awesome for the Yankees across 2 levels of minor league baseball. He played at single A to start the year, and then he moved up to high A. And some of the things that really impressed me about Dylan Lewis are the power and the speed. His power, he has 19 home runs. He has 16 doubles and 5 triples in 95 games. He has stolen 21 bases, only been caught twice over that stretch. So a really good power speed combination. This is someone who, paces to be potentially a 30-30 guy if he, extrapolate this over 150 games. That's really impressive. When we ever talk about someone who has that combination of home run power and speed, a good ability to hit doubles, a really good ability to hit triples because of that speed as well. This is the kind of hitter who has that high ceiling inherently because of those 2 traits. Now, the thing that really stands out to me in terms of how his season has progressed is the fact that his strikeout rates have come down as the season has gone on. He has a 28.2% strikeout rate if you look at his 46 games played in single A with Tampa, but since being moved up a level, he moved up to high A, his strikeout rate is now 18.2%, so 10% decrease in strikeout rate. The walk rates come down just a smidge, but it's not to a point where it's concerning. It's 9.2% versus 8.4%. That strikeout rate, though, massive drop off there. That's really important. More contact in zone, avoiding, when he gets to 2 strikes, he doesn't get there as often. He is able to attack early in counts when he sees a good pitch to hit. And then you look at the power numbers, they're really coming to form. And if you look at the shape of his minor league season, there is a lull at the start of a new level, and then there's that hot stretch. In single A, in his first 20 games, he was absolutely putrid. He had a 478 OPS, 1 home run, and then he just turned on the Jets right after that. He figured it out. He adjusted to the level and hit really well over his final 26 games there. He hit 314, 8 home runs, 26 runs batted in, a 180 WRC plus, then gets promoted up to high A, and you see a similar kind of lull. He has that same stretch where he's just not really hitting. He hit 185 with a 77 weighted runs created plus, and then he just turned on the Jets. He was striking out 23.8% of the time, walking just 3.6% of the time, and then he just found it. If you like, something just clicked for him, walking 11.5% of the time over his last 31 games at high A, 14.6% strikeout rate, 153 weighted runs created plus, 372 on base, 6 home runs, 5 doubles, and a triple over that stretch. This is the kind of hitter who, again, he gets to a level, he needs some time to adjust, he gets that time to adjust, and then he absolutely tears it up. So this is someone who I think could earn a promotion to Double A before the season ends. We'll see how aggressive the Yankees are with him. I understand if they decide to just keep it to this one promotion, let him really destroy the high A level, and then move on from there. But 46 games in single A, then got promoted. 49 games now in Hudson Valley, is starting to absolutely mash. You can make the argument that he should get moved up to Double A, and I would personally love to see it. I think this is a really talented baseball player. We ranked him as the number 12 prospect in the organization in our update, and we think it's very, very, very deserving. Moving on to another unranked prospect going into the 2025 season, we have outfielder Brendan Jones, who has absolutely turned on the Jets in Double-A and has really taken off to become a prospect that you absolutely have to keep tabs on. We have him ranked as the number 14 prospect in the organization. He's putting up a 243 average, 348 OBP, and a 444 slugging percentage with a 133 weighted runs created plus at a Double-A level where the average slugging percentage is 360, and only 3 teams have an OPS OPS above 700, one of those including the Somerset Patriots, the Double-A affiliate for the New York Yankees. Jones has displayed an excellent ability to get on base and hit the ball in the air. He sports a 13.9% walk rate this year at Double-A with a 48.5% fly ball rate, and included in his season sample is a stretch in High A where he put up a 349 OBP, but only slugged 362. He only had a 114 weighted runs created plus with 4 home runs in 44 games, but in Double-A, 7 home runs in 49 games. He has seen the slug come around for him. Part of that is a more aggressive swing tendency. He is swinging way more than he did in High A, and it's not resulting in fewer walks. He seems to just be ambushing those hittable pitches a little more frequently. He has 33 stolen bases in 93 games this year. The stolen base pace has slowed down since being moved up to Double-A, but he's still a brilliant base runner. He's a strong defender in the corner outfield. He is someone who I look at him and I go, hey, this is a very, very, very fun player to watch because the fundamental skills in terms of defense and base running are very sharp. He has a very Brett Gardner kind of play style to him. This is an undersized left-handed hitting outfielder with good contact skills, good plate discipline, and when he pulls the ball to right field, he can get it out the yard. It's a very similar skill set to Gardy, a guy who prides himself in defense and base running, a guy who actually mentioned on this podcast that Brett Gardner is someone whose game and whose play style he really matches himself after. And if you look at the swing with Brett Gardner, when you compare these two swings, it's not that they're exactly the same, but they have that same kind of swing path, or their swing mechanics are very similar in the way they try to generate power to right field. So I really love their swings. I think that, these two guys are very comparable. I'm not saying, Brendan Jones is going to go out and put up a 40 WAR career, but he is certainly the kind of player who overperforms projections that are given to him as a prospect. This is someone who did not ever project to hit for power, and right now he's hitting for some good power. Again, at a level where power is really hard to find. It is very, very bad in Double-A, especially the Eastern League, in terms of slugging rate and overall power. But that's Brendan Jones. Really, really good, well-rounded prospect, and jumped into our top 15 after being unranked going into the 2025 season. Moving on, we're going to talk about guys who were ranked going into the 2025 season, and we're going to start off with Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who we considered as our number 19 prospect entering the year. There was some real reliever risk. He did not show excellent command in High A. His command was well below average with an 15.1% walk rate at the level and 11.5% walk rate on the year. So when we talk about someone who is walking over 15% of batters faced and isn't generating enough whiffs to make up for it, that's the kind of player who you go, okay, talented arm, fun mechanics, probably a reliever. And in the case of Elmer Rodriguez Cruz this season, we have seen him get better in both strike-throwing abilities and overall just poise and makeup on the mound. In High A, he put up a 2.26 ERA. He struck out 29% of batters faced with a 10.9% walk rate. Moved up to Double-A, a 1.73 ERA in 4 starts there, 22.8% strikeout rate, 5.9% walk rate, and a 65.7% ground ball rate. On the season, a 55.1% ground ball rate. He keeps the ball on the ground a lot. He really can avoid damage contact at an elite level. He has a 0.16 home runs per 9 across 109 and 2/3 innings pitched. That comes out to just 2 home runs allowed, 1 in High A, 1 in Double-A. A really big part of his game, and a big part of his game for the Yankees, and something that the Yankees have really developed in him, is his arsenal depth. He has a good sinker, a 4-seam fastball, a cutter, a splitter, a sweeper, a curveball, and you'll see all of these pitches in any given start. He'll mix them in well. He doesn't overly rely on one pitch. He can use his sinker to get the soft contact. He uses the sweeper, the curveball to get big whiffs. The splitter as well can get whiffs. You see the 4-seam fastball up in the zone can be pretty devastating. And then the other pitch that has really come around for him is that cutter. When he's able to attack it on the outside part of the plate and consistently land that pitch to righties or jam lefties in, it's very effective for both swings and misses, called strikes, and sometimes the occasional kind of soft batted ball. Although again, I think he prefers if he's going to allow contact, to do it on the sinker because of how vicious it is. He sits around 94 to 96 on his fastballs, and the breaking balls varying between slow curveballs at 77 to 80 miles per hour, sweeper more in that 81 to 83 mile per hour range, splitter in the high 80s, mid to high 80s, and the cutter in the mid to high 80s as well. it's a really just well fleshed out repertoire, and the strike rate, again, seeing that come up, seeing the walk rate come down since promotion. If he can continue to attack the zone aggressively, he will have success. He is someone who has excellent stuff. The stuff is firmly above average. We bumped him up to the number 4 prospect in the Yankee organization. We seriously considered ranking him as the second best pitching prospect in the organization. You can make a real argument he's the best prospect the Yankees have on the pitching side, who is yet to make their major league debut this season. That's how good Elmer Cruz is, and we'll talk about someone right now who was his competition for that number 3 spot and the number 2 spot overall in terms of pitching prospects, and that's Carlos Lagrange, as I learned at Somerset. He was the number 15 prospect going into the year. He jumps up to the number 3 prospect right now. And look, you're going to get a lot of wild command, and he has had his walks come back and rear its ugly head in Double-A. He has walked over 16%. It's up to 17% of batters faced, but you also see that 33% strikeout rate, a 3.49 ERA, little to no damage contact. The fastball velocity, sizzling, high 90s, touches 100 multiple times throughout a start, high 90s changeup, low 90s changeup. He has a high 80s breaking ball that's a cutter or kind of a gyro slider, something in that mix. Then he has a sweeping slider, a bigger, slower pitch in the lower 80s. He's got a nice, well-rounded repertoire, really good velocity, really good arm speed. He does not allow damage contact. He is someone who I view as hey, if he doesn't figure out the command, that would suck, but, he still ends up being a pretty productive pitcher in perhaps a reliever role, but also someone who I still believe the Yankees are going to try out and see if he can be a starter. The walk rates are obviously concerning, 17% in Double-A, but I think the mold here for the guy they have, the talent they have in this arm, it's really uncanny. It's undeniable. Again, if he ends up being a reliever, that's fine. I think he'd end up being an elite reliever. I think his stuff is that good. He's really hard to hit with the fastball, really hard to hit with the breaking balls, really hard to hit with that changeup. But it's just the strides he's taken. He has gone for someone who could not pitch. I'm going to be honest. There was no pitchability here. No depth in arsenal, no reliable secondaries, no pitchability. Bad fastball shape, etc., etc. Now it's solid fastball shape, really, really good secondaries. The pitchability is getting better. He still has the moments where he loses his command, and that sucks for him. And I'm sure he's not happy about those moments, but I don't feel like I watch him pitch and go, oh, this is a guy who has no idea how to pitch. I watch him pitch and go, okay, if he figures out the command, maybe better composure on the mound in terms of just slowing the game down, not letting things get ahead of him. You saw it last night in Binghamton, balked twice after walking the bases loaded. Those things still happen, but you remember this is a 22-year-old pitcher who has very little pitching experience as a pro. In 2024, he threw 21 innings at the minor league level. In 2023, he had 41 and 2/3. In 2022, he had 33. So if you look at just in-state, full season baseball, so beyond the summer league in the Dominican Republic and the complex league, he has 14 1/3 innings pitched in single A, 41 and 2/3 in high A, 49 in double A. It's a very raw and inexperienced pitcher, not a polished pro. Give him time, give him the reps, give him the experience, and I think he'll end up producing into a very, very valuable pitcher for the Yankees down the road. So Carlos Lagrange, he is someone who right now we have ranked as our best non-debuted pitching prospect in the organization, the second best non-debuted prospect in the organization behind George Lombard Jr. That I think that his jump has been monumental. But I think the biggest jump for any prospect this season, and it's not because they went from unranked, or it's not based on how many spots they jumped, but just the perception of them and what they were considered to be and what their projection looked like at the time. I don't know if I've ever seen a prospect do what Cam Schulter has done in the Yankee organization in just 1 year. Cam Schulter entered the year as our number 13 ranked prospect, jumped in the rankings after a very, very, very excellent month of April at the Double-A level, and then just continued to rise. And that rise became monumental when we started seeing the velocity go from 95 to 97 to 97 to 100. And at the major league level now, 4.58 ERA, still working on the command, still, figuring out some things in terms of not allowing home runs, not leaving, breaking balls over the plate. But the stuff is unbelievable. A 97.8 mile per hour fastball at the big league level. AAA was sitting around that range, a 96, 97 range as well. He had an unbelievable strikeout rate of 35.7% in AAA. It was 30.2% in AA, a 2.82 ERA in 15 outings with a 31.9% strikeout rate overall, a 47.8% ground ball rate. Just improved in terms of strike throwing, improved his stuff across the board, went from a guy who maybe a back-end starter to This guy's got straight up frontline upside. His fastball shape continues to improve. His fastball shape has gone from very underwhelming, like just like, who cares? Like, at least it's thrown hard. Maybe just rely on your cutter and sweeper and curveball. Don't really work on the, don't really rely on the fastball much, please. To this guy has a plus fastball, 29% whiff rate on the season. Still working again on limiting the slug. He has to, figure out the command of that pitch a little more, but the ride of 16.7 inches of induced vertical break, that's way up from where it was last year. It's getting a little more arm side movement. He seems to be getting a little more behind the baseball, which is really good. A little more efficient spin, if you want to say it like that. The sinker he's developing, I think, could be a real weapon for him. It's got good arm side movement. He's just working on getting more depth on that pitch. He's got a good cutter that has a lot of, and I truly mean a lot of lateral movement for a cutter with good velocity. Big sweeper, tons of velocity and lateral movement, and then a big curveball as well. 5-pitch mix. I think all 5 pitches can grade out to be average or above average. I think this is a guy who can be a frontline starter one day. I truly do believe that. I'm not just saying that to say face or to say that I was on this guy first and I believe in him. It doesn't mean he's gonna be an ace. It doesn't mean he's gonna be a number 2 starter, but it's certainly something that's possible for him. I don't think it's impossible for him to get to that point in his career. And you see some of the pitches he can throw, man. He just has. He has a lot of really good raw skills, and these are things that are hard to teach, guys. It's hard to teach being a guy who throws 98. It's hard to teach sitting 98. It's hard to teach throwing a cutter with that kind of outlier movement, a sweeper with that kind of outlier movement. Again, it just comes back to the command, because at the end of the day, when you leave your breaking balls up, they're going to get hammered. When you leave your breaking balls in zone, they're going to get hammered. And if he could just figure out ways to avoid leaving his slider literally middle, that'd be great. The sweeper, same deal. It's kind of like learning how to get these pitches down and off the plate. If he does that consistently, he's going to have a great time in the big leagues. Again, a big arm, massive arm, big year for Cam Schulter. Really happy for him. And for all 5 of these guys, these were guys who either came into the year as like middle of the pack prospects in a bottom half farm system, or unranked prospects in a bottom half farm system. These are guys that would not be important at all to any prospect evaluator when looking at a farm system. And that's what their perception was. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz was traded for Carlos Narvaez. So, that trade was considered a disaster for the Yankees. And, Narvaez is having a strong year, but I don't think that the WAR gap between Narvaez and Wells is large enough to say that, you'd be happy to not have ERC and you'd rather have Narvaez for the Yankees, where you have your catching depth, you're fine there. You prefer having more pitching depth ammo in your farm system, knowing how hard it is to find quality pitching, especially, at a better than market value price. You look at someone like Cam Schulter, again, a back-end starter projection, certainly not someone you expected to get called up in July. Carlos LaGrange, hey, this guy hasn't really done anything of note performance-wise, and he hasn't pitched much above the complex league level. Is this a guy even worth talking about to some people? Just for the velocity, sure, but where are the results? And then Dylan Lewis, Brendan Jones, like guys who just people aren't going to care about. People don't care about mid-round, late-round picks. We do, but most people don't. And these guys are all like top 15 guys in the system now. I have all of them in the top 15, 3 of them in the top 10. I think that all of these guys have real chances of being major leaguers, and I think we do see them in the big leagues in either 2026 or 2027 in the case of Schulter already here. So I'm really excited to see how these guys continue to progress. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching today's Fireside Yankees video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. And finally, make sure to check us out on EmpireSportsMedia.com. Our top 30 updated rankings will be linked in the description. It's available on the website. I really appreciate all the support and all the nice compliments I've gotten about it. Thank you so much. I put a good amount of work into it, but at the end of the day, it is only because of you guys that I get to do this. So thank you again so much for tuning in. You guys can see us in the next one. Let's go Yankees, and peace out.